Ladies and gentlemen, up until now you've seen the creature perform the simple mechanics of motor activity, but for what you are about to see next, we must enter quietly into the realm of genius. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Damen und Herren, from what was once an inarticulate mass of lifeless tissues, may I now present a cultured, sophisticated man about town. Hit it!
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Sketch-O-Matic.
My voice is cracking. I feel like I'm still going through puberty.
Sketchy.
Yes. Yeah. I have returned. Welcome to another brand spanking new episode of the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast.
Sketch-O-Matic.
Today's episode, we're featuring another special guest. This one's extra special because she and I have worked together for many a years. To have her today on this podcast means the world to me. She is near and dear to my heart, and we cover quite a bit in this episode. Early origins, rise to her career, broadcasting mentors, role models, the unfortunate passing of her mother, and the creation of her very own successful company, Wordaful, which she is founder, creator, and CEO.
Wow.
And now hosting her own morning show at 94.7 The Wave FM Los Angeles. It is quite an exciting episode ahead of you. Hold on to your hats and glasses. Episode
13.
Let's dive in. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Sketch-O-Matic.
Special guest, host and star of mornings at 94.7 The Wave and CEO of Wordaful, Liz Hernandez.
That's right. You heard her. My sister, another family member of mine, has joined me today, and I'm beyond excited to have this woman on my show, this powerful boss lady. The intro itself doesn't explain how much of a connection I have to this special guest today on episode 13 of the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, morning show host at 94.7 The Wave FM Los Angeles and founder/creator/CEO of her own successful company, Wordaful, Liz Hernandez. Liz!
Are you wearing a Wordaful sweatshirt,
I
Sketch?
am. I wanted to. Yeah. What do you think of that? Yeah,
Me
we're on
too,
Zoom.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yes, of 94.7 The Wave and, of course, of Wordaful. That is my pride and joy. Both are my pride and joy. I mean, what a beautiful opportunity to come back to LA radio. What a privilege to speak to the city of Los Angeles and to also be able to carry over the message of Wordaful, because that is really what has made such a huge impact in the transition of my life.
And I want to get into all that, Liz. I want to talk about, before we get into Wordaful and the creation of it and where it is now, and then also your process to getting to 94.7 The Wave, which just happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brand spanking new. LA is still reeling from like the massive excitement. It's like when the 6th Street Bridge went up. I mean, people were going crazy. It's absolutely out of control. You know what I mean? But okay, so can we rewind and go to the beginning? I only have you for a certain set of time here, and I want to make sure I get as many, questions. And it's part interview, part conversation that we're going to have. I don't want to just talk all about business and but I want to talk about Liz the person. And Liz, who I met way back when we worked together at Power. And I want to talk a little bit about you getting into radio. But first, let's take it even further back. Tell me about like your earliest memories growing up as a kid.
Well, I can even tie that into radio.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. You're a professional.
No, it's just one of those things, because we're talking about it, that I just think about how much I was in love with radio growing up. I was that kid that would sit in my room for hours and just listen to every song and want to hear every interview. And I just had such a fantasy of who the radio personalities were, and they were, to me, that was what was exciting. You know, I loved music artists, of course, but there was just such a appeal to the person that got to introduce the music and the artist. And I just, yeah. So as a kid, that was one of the biggest things I spent my time doing was listening to radio and, you know, shout out and rest in peace to Art LeBeau. Like I remember falling asleep.
Really?
Yes.
That's like some of your earliest broadcasters. Can you, besides Art, who else were some of your earliest broadcasters? I know you listened to Art LeBeau, but you eventually, when you got into radio, I want to talk about you working with Nasty Man.
Yeah, and not to completely go away from your question of what my earliest memories growing up, but like I said, radio was such a big part of my childhood, and it's just so interesting because it ended up shaping so much of my future. And I remember, you know, 99.1 in Riverside, which is my hometown, would syndicate the Art LeBeau show. And I remember falling asleep and listening to the dedications.
This goes out to Ray from Sylvia in Whittier, California, and playing a great love song by Heatwave called Always and Forever.
Always and forever.
And then I grew up also listening to Hollywood Hamilton. He used to do a countdown, and I was a huge New Kids on the Block fan. I'll never forget the day he had them on.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have one more great big hand for New Kids on the Block.
Nasty Man used to do afternoons.
Yes, I am the bald man with the tan from Guam. The Nasty Man set to bang nearly 1 hour nonstop, and we are going to bang the drum Nasty Man style.
And just so wild as life would have it. And once I got my radio internship in college, I would end up working with Nasty Man. And he's really the person who mentored me and made me believe that I had what it took to take on radio as a potential career.
Interesting. Okay, now I want to deep dive into that. But again, I want to talk a little bit more about you growing up in regards to your family. And was any of your family into show business at all? Entertainment, wanted to become an actor, actress, a news anchor? Anybody in your family at all interested in that? What gave it to you? Was it just innate when you were born? The earliest memories, it seems like you were just automatically drawn to broadcasting. Am I correct about that?
Well, it was two parts. One, my dad's a real showman. He's freaking hilarious.
Shout out to your dad.
Shout out to my dad, Tony. And it's funny, once I got into radio, my dad goes, you know, I used to do radio, right? And I said, no, you didn't. He said,
really?
Well, sort of. He was a car salesman, and he used to go, they would call, you know, before we ran commercials recorded, my dad would go in and do a live commercial. So he would say, hey, come down to this car lot and we have, you know, these cars.
Come down to Hernandez lot and get yourself a deal.
Exactly. So they would actually have the person come in live and read their spots, which I think is just,
That's bold if you think about it. You know what I mean? Having the dealer
I can't even imagine, because my dad gets so nervous now when he's put on the spot, but God bless him. You know, I guess back then he just didn't care. I don't know. But yeah, so that's all I know as far as,
interesting.
You know, my parents ever being tied to some kind of entertainment.
Your dad was on the radio for a couple of times, but he actually never did radio. That's still awesome, though.
But I think it's really cool. But what really, I guess, encouraged me to take on the world of entertainment, so to speak, is that my parents told me I could do and be anything I wanted to be growing up.
Right.
You know, we'd sit around at the dinner table and my dad used to say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you'd always give those parent approved answers. Well, I want to be, for so long I was like, I want to be an attorney, because I was on the debate team and I used to love it. And I'm a talker. I
can see you as an attorney for real. I mean, you just have that. You could seem like, because you're like a boss lady now. I mean, it's crazy to see your growth, Liz. I mean, and it's crazy in a good way, but because I've known you and you've always been very consistent and disciplined in that manner. You know, like your parents raised you right. You've always had a certain classiness to you. And I also got to say, in regards to, you know, you working with Big, when we all worked together at Power, I got to admit, like, there was, you know, a certain chemistry you and Big shared.
Absolutely.
That is equivalent to me of Howard Stern and Robin Quivers.
Oh, well, you know, it's like, again, just to completely take out comparison, I just think at that time there was, our morning show in general was just lightning in a bottle. It was everybody in that room, and yourself included. You know, I think about just what and I don't even think you realize this, is what you did for my career when it came to entertainment. You know, yes, because you constantly uplifted and brought it to another scale of excellence every time you put your production on my red carpets. The bloody, the filthy bloody red carpets. Yeah. And it takes teamwork. It's not just one person. Because I was on these red carpets day in and day out, but I would bring you back a plethora of audio, and you would have to edit that, and you made me sound like a superstar, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You really did a great.
Big says that as well about it. It's true. It's a team of people that makes a certain specific person look and sound like a star, and
Absolutely.
It's true.
So you were making my so-called reel for MTV to take notice, for E! News to take notice,
My God.
So it's a collaborative effort.
I didn't know that, Liz. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of knew that, but I didn't think about it until you just said it.
Pat yourself on the back.
I'm gonna pat myself on the Wordaful back right here. My Wordaful hoodie.
So even when people say, "Oh, there's such a chemistry with you and Big," absolutely. I mean, we love each other to death.
Yeah.
But it's also having a great producer, having a great production team, having a great team around you, and feeding off of. Even Los Angeles plays a part in that, because we're also feeding off the energy of the love we get from the listeners.
Right.
So again, that's why I call it lightning in a bottle, because it happened at a time before social media existed, in a time where people, if they wanted to know what was happening in local news and entertainment news with their favorite music artists, they had to listen to the radio.
It was an appointment listening back
Absolutely.
then. You know what I mean? It was no social media. There was internet, but it was a different. It was
it was just Tom and your top 8 friends,
Tom. I remember going, Liz, can you put me on your top friends so I can be pinned at the top? That was like the very first pinning at the top.
Isn't it funny how it's just sort of morphed into different things? Like first it was the top 8 on MySpace, and then it was like, oh, do you follow this person on Instagram?
Right. Or Twitter, actually. Twitter before all the you were the first person to hit me to Twitter, actually. I remember you walked into the studio at Power one day and you're all, hey, what's up, Sketcherera? And I'm all, hey, what's up, Liz? You're all, are you on Twitter? You just poked your head and you're all, are you on Twitter? I'm all, what's that? You're all, download it. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to follow me? What the fuck does that mean?
I got to give full credit to DJ Vice, because the same day he reached out to Eric Deluxe, and I was hanging with Eric, and he said, you guys got to get on this thing called Twitter.
It sounds crazy saying it now.
So me, Eric, and Johnny all got on the same day.
Oh my God, that's so cool. And I remember Vice got me on Facebook.
Amazing.
Oh, and speaking of Facebook, aka Meta, which owns Instagram, and your Instagram, I mean, you are to me, you were like one of the first influencers, Liz, because I never seen anybody to create something from scratch, right? Wordaful. And then to take it to where it's at now, pretty much all using Instagram, right? Instagram was, in a sense, like your TV, your radio station, all put together. And that's what even what Stern had said not too long ago. I listen to him all the time, and I take note of what he says in regards to Instagram. People are now their own, not only their own franchise, but they're also they're getting followers more than TV networks.
Absolutely.
And I always thought, now, mind you, I digress a lot in this podcast. There's a lot of subtopics within subtopics, but that's fine because, hey, it's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So, and by the way, we can curse too. So I'd love to hear you throwing an F-bomb every now and again if you feel so.
It's off brand for me.
Yeah, it's off brand. I like that though. I like how classy you are about it. But in regards to Instagram and Wordaful and creating this massive thing, what gave you what was the idea? Where did Wordaful come from? I don't know if I'm sure you've been asked this before, but I'd like you to reiterate it for all 10 people listening to this podcast right now. What is it that made it happen? And how is it that you got it to this far aside from Instagram? I mean, you must have had speaking of teams as well, you've had a team of people behind you making this happen. Tell me about the birth of Wordaful.
The birth of Wordaful really started out of my own need for connection, my need for community, and my need to heal.
Heal from
I had a lot going on in my life at that time. My mom had just been diagnosed with dementia, and it was moving into Alzheimer's, and she was starting to lose her words, and not only her words, but her memory and her memories. And it's really painful because there's no cure for it. And I just knew that who I knew as my mother was going to change.
Yeah, I can relate to that too, Liz. My grandmother suffered from the same thing. And I lost my mom in 2017. So my deepest condolences to you, my friend. And I know
Same.
Like Big says, we're part of a fucked up club. We're members of a fucked up club now.
Absolutely.
But we are each other's family, and we're our chosen family, right? But please continue. So she starts to lose the...
So I was going through a lot and being on that journey with my mother, and I just remember telling at the time my person that I was like, hey, you know, I want to get back to talking about things that I care about.
Right.
Because, you know, radio leaves such a big impression on how you process life. You know, we got to do it in real time, and we got to share our experiences with all of Los Angeles, you know,
how many
from the
years
highs
were
and
you
lows.
there?
I was at Power 10 and a half years.
10 and a half. That's over a decade. Over a decade, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, when I was at Access, you know, I mean, I loved the experience, but I was also talking about things that felt very shallow. It was celebrity news.
It was more. It's very cookie cutter. It's
it's entertainment news, and entertainment news.
You can't dive deep.
No,
really. You know, you got to keep it surface. I hear you.
Exactly.
I hear you.
So I just thought, you know, what if we create a YouTube channel where I could talk about one word at a time and talk about the power of that word, what it meant to me, how I connected to it. And slowly but surely, people started to connect to the things I was saying as well. And I threw my first event, and I think like 300 and some people showed up. And I thought,
the first one? Yes. Damn, you like got club numbers. You got like full. Go ahead.
And I realized in that moment, oh, I'm not the only one who feels a little lost and yearns for community. There's all these people out here who feel the same way I do. And I was really grateful because they had been following me since Big Boys Neighborhood.
Right.
They'd
You
come
already
along
had a
with
fan
me.
base.
Yeah, they were already they were coming along with me for this journey.
Right.
And so I was just really grateful that they trusted me, that they could relate, and that, again, they were looking for the same things I was looking for.
Right. Just
so
heal and to feel to confidence.
For community, to dive deeper into self-love, to dive deeper into self-care, to dive deeper into just understanding, you know, self-compassion. Just understanding that life is hard and it goes through these ebbs and flows, and we need each other. And the more you feel connected to your community, to other like-minded individuals, especially for women, the more resilient we feel.
What year did you begin Wordaful? What year?
I put out my first episode August 2016.
Okay,
or
so
15, actually August
15.
2015.
Yeah. That's 7.5 years, almost 8 years that you've been going solid. And I want to dive a little bit deep into how when you left Power after a decade and a half, and then you went to Access, correct?
After Power, I went to E-News, and I was there for 2 years, and then I went to Access.
But then you did MTV. I mean, let's just really quickly review the actual career that you've had, not only in radio. Okay, we all know you were with Big Boys Neighborhood for a decade and a half. Then you went on to being a host on television. Go ahead.
So when I was in Big Boys Neighborhood, I simultaneously did MTV.
That's right.
So I was at MTV, I believe, from like 2006 till 2009 or 10, and then I left Power in 2011. I started E-News, did E-News for 2 years, and then went over to Access Hollywood, and I was there for about 5 years.
That's so awesome, though. I saw that post you put out, and it was a reel of all your different the filthy, bloody red carpets. You know what I mean? And I was like, and I'm going to play that post right now, if that's okay with you.
Shout out to my friend Aaron, who works for Siete. He actually reached out and said, "Can we highlight you for Siete's?" You know, for Hispanic Heritage Month. And Aaron and I used to work together at MTV.
Wow. And shout out to Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron. And so it was just really beautiful because I've never seen my career reflected back to me that way.
It's like when I put together tributes for artists and celebrities, you know, they never get a chance to hear what they've done, like their career. Here's your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like Big says, it's good to give people the flowers before they're gone.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do that for you by at least playing what Aaron put together on this podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's Luscious Liz for Big Boys Neighborhood. I'm Liz Hernandez for E-News Now. Hey guys, Liz Hernandez here with MTV News.
My career up until this day has been a fairy tale. I remember calling my mom and dad after I got hired as a paid intern and saying, I think I would like to stay an extra year in college and see if this radio career has legs. And I'll never forget the conversation. My dad said to me, Mija, this is something you're gonna do for the rest of your life, so make sure you love it. And if this is what you love, then we support you. And then my mom got on the phone and she said, you know, you're going to help people in another way. You're going to make them laugh on their way to school or on the way to work or forget their problems. And she's like, and that's something you should feel proud of. And it was just this huge relief of, wow, my parents really love and support me. I'm passionate about everything. That's just who I am. But right now in this season of my life, I'm most passionate about community and connection and helping us rewrite our stories and how we see ourselves so that we can embrace everything that makes us us. When Wordaful was created, I took 3 words. It's words are powerful, and I mushed it all together. But when I think about it as an energy, it's really community. That's really the foundation of what Wordaful is. Wordaful would not be Wordaful without the community that holds it up. At the end of the day, I hope people take away from Wordaful the encouragement to get curious about their self-talk and the power of their words, and to really understand the energy that you're putting into yourself when you speak to yourself lovingly. My mission is to empower women, my community, through the power of words and the power of storytelling. If we can change the narrative, change how we view ourselves, it changes everything. I'm most proud of 2 things. That I was able to walk away from what seemed like such a important job in the entertainment industry and launch my own company. I feel really proud of that because it was done on the support and on the shoulders of my grandparents and my parents. So that to me, it's just, I feel a lot of pride. The biggest thing, and this is what brings the tears, is I'm honoring my mother. I'm letting her legacy move forward. My Mexican-American heritage influences everything I do. It's woven into my DNA. And for me, it's in how I tell my stories. It's when I go out and I meet people and wanting them to feel included, wanting them to feel loved, wanting them to feel the passion that I feel. We've been told this narrative that isn't always true, and just embrace the fact that just because we have certain thoughts about ourselves or how we were brought up or our belonging in this country doesn't always make them true, and that we can change that to really do anything we want. I'm Liz Hernandez, and I am Mexican American.
Liz, I got to tell you, like, when I see your face, right? when I see your posts, you have such a warm, welcoming smile. And you've always had that since the beginning, since day one. I remember literally walking down the hallway crying into your arms because I was so heartbroken. But I just remember there's a certain warmth and consoling feeling that just your mere appearance gives off. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No,
maybe it's because I know you, but...
Well... You know, I thank you. That means so much, because that's how you want people to feel, you know. I mean, I think we all have that we all have that in us. Yeah. And I feel really grateful to hear that's what you experience when I'm around you. And I always try, because I've heard that from other people, and I always think to myself, I believe that is because I was mothered so beautifully. My mother was so warm and loving, and I'm just an extension of that energy.
I feel you. No, I mean, same thing. My mom raised me well, too. But I also have to point out, and this is a little cringy for me, but I want to just publicly podcast apologize to you for all the times that I was very mean to you at Power. You know what I mean?
You were just grouchy because it was early. You were grouchy because it was early. I was an asshole. And not only that, Liz, but we talked about it with Big, and I talked about it with Chalk. I talked about a couple of people that have been on the show that were with us at Power. That, you know, I had a substance problem. You know, I was drinking a lot. I was doing a lot of party favors. I was snorting up Peru and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was out of control. What? I never took it personally.
I know, and I love you for that. I do. But still, I'm a million miles away from that guy I used to be.
And I'm so proud proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you. I hope you are proud of you.
Oh, I'm very proud. But it took my mom passing away, and even then, I kept drinking. I would have to go through at least 2 6-packs of Stella a day just to feel normal. And I was like a full functioning alcoholic. You knew, you were around me at that time. Right. And it's to the point now, and I don't want to make this about me. I'm just saying I'm a million miles away from the person I used to be. And I wanted to put that out there as a kind of an homage to you by saying, man, you know, you didn't deserve any of that shit. I was a fucking asshole at times. Not all the time, but I was an asshole. I still got the work done, and I still made you look and sound like a star when I had the opportunity to do so. And even though I was like, what the fuck, and I'm all kicking and screaming, you know, it was just ridiculous. And I'm just, you know, I'm sorry, Liz.
Thank you.
You didn't deserve that.
You know what? I accept your apology.
Thank you.
But more than anything, I'm just so happy to see you doing well and thriving and having your podcast. I just think it's so beautiful. And like I said, you know, we all have that within us to make people feel great. And I will say, like, on the day back then, on the days that you were at your best, you're amazing, you know.
Thank you.
So it's nice to see that you're that way all the time now.
Yeah, I'm trying to be, for sure. I mean, I still smoke weed, but let's face it, it's not nearly as, at least I'll just forget where I put my keys. I won't forget that I like told one of my best friends to go F off, you know what I mean? And I know you drink,
but
you're a social drinker, right? You're a very
I'm
fun
not even
person,
a social
right?
drinker anymore.
You barely drink.
I barely drink, only because now that I'm back in radio, it makes it quite difficult. But you know, on a Saturday, I don't mind like a nice glass of wine with a meal. But I lived up my Halloween for sure.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
I like how you were the. Go ahead.
But you know what's so crazy is even, you know, I don't know if it's just coming with older age, but I only had 2 drinks that night, and I was pretty turned up.
What was it? What did I know you were turned? What did you drink?
My drink of choice is tequila, like just straight tequila. Yeah, usually I just like it chilled with a little lime on the side, and I'll just use it as a sipper.
It's too much good.
It's too much good.
Yeah, D8. I saw you were the emoji twins.
We were, me and my girl
What are they
Martha.
called? Just emoji twins?
Emoji twins, yeah.
By the way, I have to admit, even though it was a wig, an obvious, wig just to pull off the costume, you do look good with blonde hair. I'm not gonna lie. Have you ever gone blonde? I swear.
I have.
Or like with the dark roots, you know what I mean? Like not full blonde. But
I have actually, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll have to send you a photo.
Please. So moving on. All right. There's so much to get to here. Wordaful, we covered your career. I podcast publicly apologize, which I do feel a little bit better. You accepted, thank God.
Absolutely.
Play a little hallelujah behind me. Okay, so let's move on into the amount of time you were off the radio in Los Angeles. How long have you been off there? From 2011 till now, right?
I was off the radio for almost exactly 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you let's face it, in the reality of radio, at least the old school radio we're from, right? If you're off the air for longer than a month, it's pretty much it's over. You know what I mean? And especially in Los Angeles, it's very hard. And I know because I've been hired and refired from Power probably more than anybody in all of Power 106 history. Okay, and not something I'm proud of, but it goes to show that I still went back.
They kept bringing you back.
Yeah, they kept bringing me back like a boomerang. But with you, I'm not comparing you to me at all. I'm saying you left, you were gone, but then something miraculous happens. Not only does Wordaful take off. Oh, and this is what leads me into the lead up to getting to 94.7 The Wave. Okay. Right before we were going to do this podcast, remember we had scheduled it prior to you premiering your show, and I wasn't aware of you going on to 94.7. Nobody was. It was a complete shock to everybody.
Yeah, it was very undercover until
you're very good at keeping those surprises under wrap. I mean, I was like, wow, she didn't even give a hint.
Yeah.
But I was going to mention. Let's say hypothetically you never did 94.7. We're just having this. I was going to go, Liz, you should have your own television show. Ellen, she's leaving. And I'm like, why don't they bring in somebody who's, like a Latina? Liz, Wordaful, Liz. It could just the name Liz, Liz could just be the name of the show. You know what I mean? I always felt like because you have such a warm, welcoming presence, and not only are you gorgeous and all that stuff, but it's like there's a certain appeal to you that other women, other hosts, other folks don't have. You have. It's very special. And I feel like it would work on television. But then you're like, we have to reschedule sketch. And I knew it because you're like this. And by then, you know, the news is out. The cat's out of the bag. Everybody's like, hooray, Liz is on the air again. And you're like, this is why I had to reschedule sketch. I'm like, please do your thing. We're going to get back to it. But Liz, now that we're here.
Yes.
How did it, can we talk about it? Can you reiterate how you played? So how did it go into motion?
You know what's wild? And
my face.
Oh, I love the bigisms.
Yeah, I
and
love
speaking of Big,
go ahead.
I actually have to give credit to Veronica, Big's wife, because I was having a conversation with her, and we were just talking about, I had just wrapped up the Wordaful tour, and a lot of people it was just kind of in the air. People kept asking, like, would you ever go back to radio? It was just sort of very serendipitous. And ironically, someone at the Wave had reached out while I was on tour and said, we're looking for someone. And I kind of just batted it away. I was like, I don't know if I want to go back. Mm-hmm. And by the way, this is the first time I think I'm telling this story.
Oh, yes. Wait, hold on. This is a Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast exclusive.
And so I was talking to Veronica about it, and she's like, oh my God, I love the Wave. Don't tell Big.
I think he's aware of that. Yeah.
No,
but go ahead.
He is for sure. And she said, you're sitting on all this radio talent. Why not just take a meeting? What does it hurt? And so I took the meeting, and I was just so impressed with, it's so funny. They don't call program directors anymore. They call them brand managers now.
Really?
But, yeah. Well, at least our company, they do. It's really interesting. But anyway, I was just really impressed. I was really impressed with management and everyone I met, and everyone was so kind. But it was really Pat Prescott who, when I sat down with her, and the way she spoke about the people who worked there, the way she spoke about the community that listens to the Wave, just who she is, it just felt like a no-brainer. It just felt like, absolutely, it's such a privilege to be able to have a local show in Los Angeles. These are the people who have raised me.
I know. It is Liz. I mean, okay. So you take the meeting, and shout out to Veto for this. Veto is unbelievably talented and gifted in giving you just those few words of wisdom.
She planted the seed.
Just take the meeting, Liz. And you could always tell them no.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no harm, no foul. So you take the meeting.
I take the meeting.
How does the meeting? Walk me through the meeting.
Well, there's not a lot to say. It's like, you meet. We met for coffee.
Where did you meet at? What coffee place?
Starbucks, right down the street.
All right. What did you have? What kind of coffee?
I had an iced latte.
Ooh, very lovely. An iced Liz latte. Go ahead.
But it was really like that little light bulb in my head went off, and I really feel like that's spirit being inspired, and I just thought, wow, an opportunity to come back and speak to Los Angeles, and to also incorporate the messaging in what I'm doing with Wordaful as well, because really I feel so. There's an obligation, I feel, when you have had the career that I've had, which I feel so lucky, and I've been given a platform. Why not use that platform for good, and to be able to help people along the way? Like I said, life is so hard sometimes, and we need to be able to lean on each other. And I just thought, wow, if I can just go back and take everything I've learned in these past 10 years and reapply it in a new way, because I'm a different person, and the people listening now, it's kind of beautiful, because all the people that the Wave is a station that it's perfect for me. If the music is like the music I listened to before I was working there.
Can you name some of the artists really quick that you like playing at the Wave?
Let me tell you, when I found out they had DeBarge on their playlist, I was like, hire me now. I like the way you comb your hair.
Keep going. I'm going to play clips.
It's just the little things you do that make you know how much I care. Okay,
yes, I love that.
But yeah, I was really like, wow. And then everything from Bruno Mars.
Don't believe me, just watch.
To Adele.
Hello from the other side.
To John Legend.
We're just ordinary people.
To the GOAT, Michael McDonald.
We're not in love anymore.
Like what? Whitney Houston?
Oh, I wanna dance with somebody.
Tina Turner?
What's love got to do? Got to do
These are all my jams.
Yeah,
Like,
because you are a singer. I remember hearing you sing through the hallways, and you'd leave the studio to grab some water. You go, get your oatmeal ready and stuff like that. And I hear you go you'd walk in and be like, and you would just be singing down, and I would be all angry because I'm like, why is she in such a good mood? Fuck, god damn it! And I was always angry.
Back then, I was singing PIMP though. Nelly Furtado. I would sing a lot of Nelly Furtado. Fly like a bird.
It was that, but there was another one. It was a single solo artist. I can't remember her name. It's going to come back to me after this podcast. But I remember you would always sing it, and it would drive me crazy because you were happy and I wasn't. I was miserable.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Not because I was at the station. I was going through my own bullshit. Again, I was drinking, I was hungover, and I was heartbroken from whatever toxic relationship I was in.
Man.
It was just a disaster. It was all a disaster. But now, hearing you, and I love hearing you sing. I want to put together like a bunch of clips that you said of all those artists. Play a bunch of clips. I'm going to insert all those. Okay.
Amazing.
Do you mix it all on the show? If you could DJ on the show,
oh my god, you want to know something so funny? So Big called into the show my first week, which I just adore.
Yeah.
I adore him for doing that. 94.7 The Wave. I'm Liz Hernandez. I have to bring in a very special guest. This man needs no introduction. Big boy!
Liz, what up, Liz?
Big, how are you?
Liz, what are you doing over there?
I want to just ask you, do you have some advice for me now that I'm hosting a morning, Big, how crazy? I'm hosting a morning show.
I know, man. You know what, Liz? Just the same thing that we said, through not even our whole careers, just throughout life. Just be you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when, the many years that I've known you, the many years that we worked together, the reason why people love you, Liz, is because you're Liz, because you're you. So the only advice that I can give is to just continue to be you. And I think, you don't have to go into a old reference, but into a phone booth and come out with a cape and be this character called Liz Hernandez. People know your spirit and people know you, and character is what's being said about you when you're not in the room. And people speak so well about your character. So I would just say the advice I would give to you sounds so cliche, just be you.
Thank you, Big. Well, I am here today being able to be me and doing what I do because of you. You have taught me everything I know, everything great I know about being on radio, about caring about the community, and just giving me that permission when I first started in radio. You told me that, and I never let that leave my heart. And I'm just so grateful to have you on the show this morning. And I just love you so much. And I just want to say thank you really for giving me this career start. And I'm always going to be appreciative for that.
Hey, you know what, Liz? It comes down to, some people could so-called open the door, but it's what we do when we get inside of the room. How long we stay in the room, what we do for others while we're in the room. So there's many doors that's open for so many people, but it's what you do once that door is open. And you have done so many beautiful things, not just in your career, but for other people, for your family, for your community, for, ladies, of course the fellas love you, Liz, but you represent it so well and continue to represent for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? You've always been extremely classy, smart. You know how to have fun. You're not whacking the room, but when you get the ladies, then you're fine. And your whole career, my working with you, you always champion women. Women champion you. You were in a room full of guys, and you held your own, and you were in a position where people would say, that were listening, was like, man, she answered that well. Or that's what I would have said. You never misrepresented your people, the ladies, the community, and LA is so blessed to have you back on the microphone, especially in the microphone one position. But there's so much out there, man. It's chaotic. Things are crazy, man. So when you get someone that's so well, grounded and really speak truth and not part of these shenanigans and the things that's going on right now, when you get a real true voice, that's what people gravitate towards, man. So I'm so glad to have you back in Los Angeles. So glad to have you on the radio. So glad to be a personal friend. And I'm so glad that also that there's someone in LA radio and radio period, just in a position that's classy and not caught up with none of the stuff that we hear nowadays. So welcome, Liz. Again. You know what I'm saying? Welcome again, Queen.
You know, one thing I learned from you was just never run from the love. And right now I'm going to accept those flowers from you. So thank you so much.
You earned them.
You are a friend. You are a mentor. You are family. Big, can you just hit them as we exit out this break with, you know what it is?
And it is, Liz. Hello.
Oh, so deeply grateful. But Big is so freaking funny. He goes to me, he's like, yeah, so he asked me, I think like we were talking about the same thing, like having a mix. He's like, yeah, you guys should have the wave at you mix. Like have people call in like, where are you waving at me from?
That is genius.
I'm laughing so hard. I'm like, Big, if we had a mixer, that would be the first thing I would implement, but we don't. So no,
but
we
you
don't.
yourself
We don't have
are a DJ though, Liz. You have a good selection, a good eclectic style of mixing music. Not that you're on a DJ on the turntables.
I mean, I got some fire playlists. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I'm saying. If you could DJ, what would your DJ name be? I think it would just Liz Hernandez. Not even DJ Liz. Would it be DJ?
No, yeah.
You know, Lizzie. What other nicknames do you have?
Yeah,
that your friends call you.
Mick Lizzie. No.
Mick Lizzie. I like that.
No, I don't know. I'd probably go to Big and ask him, be like, can you come up with? Because Big was the one who dubbed me Luscious Liz, you know,
Yes.
so he was so good at coming up with everybody's. I mean, I think he named Fuzzy Fantabulous.
Yep.
Gave you Sketchomatic.
Oh, no, Sketcherera. He always calls me Hot Tom and Herrera. It's very only Big would come up with these type of names. But yeah, he would go like Sketch Hot Tom and Herrera, and then sometimes he just calls me Hotomina, which is a whole different. It's not nearly close to Sketch. Hotomina. What is that?
Here's what's so sweet about it, right? Because it just shows the depth of his love for all of us. Because I kind of like think about my little pet Abondiga. Like I love him so much. I have about 30 nicknames for him. For everything from Abondiga to Daigus to Bondi to Al to Papa to you name it, you know?
Yeah. And is he there with you right now below your feet?
Of course he is.
Yeah. He's taking the one Mimis or what?
Always.
Okay. Speaking of the whole name, you know, Luscious Liz thing, which was really funny to me. I still see Jeff G in the hallway because, you know, he's at Real 92.3 now with the Cruise Show.
Oh, tell him I say hello.
Yeah, and he'd always go, hey, fucking Luscious Larry hasn't done a read yet, you know what I mean? También, Luscious Larry. Like, and then I started calling you Luscious Larry. And then just Larry.
I think Johnny still calls me Larry.
Larry? I don't know what it is. It fits you. Luscious Larry.
It's brotherly love. That's what you guys kept me super humble up in there.
And you've made me pivot to recognizing my own humbleness. I told you this one night via DM or text, I believe. I remember calling you for advice one night, and you heard me out. You gave me really good advice. And again, I was still drinking, but I remember writing to you going, like, because of watching you and Big, watching you lead, right? You lead in your own sense of what you're doing with Wordaful, Big with the show, and still like my big brother, you know, he's always been like family to me as well as you. But it taught me how to pivot. It taught me how to like step back and like reassess myself. And then of course, when COVID hit, that really made me turn inwards and just go like, what is it why do you need to keep drinking? Is it because of your mom? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? And then pretty soon, just one day, I was able to just stop. And for me, that was like the greatest gift I felt like I gave to myself, to be able to just walk away from that. And I have to thank you and Big for just being like role models in that sense. And if that made me do what I was able to do by giving up alcohol, not saying that you guys were alcoholics because you weren't, it was just watching your sense of leadership, your sense of discipline, and to keep like focusing on, look how they're doing things. Try that. Just like how Veto told you, just take the meeting. You could always say no. Well, I was like, just try sobriety, Sketch. Just try it. Just try it on for size, like this Wordaful sweater, and see where it takes you. And a week turned into 2 turned into 3 turned into a month 2, 3, 4, and so on. And now on what? I'm at this is going to be published after, but it's been 1 year, 11 months, and 1 day.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I remember what alcohol tastes like. I just remember it always made me feel like shit every day. In regards to the wave, now I want to get back to the wave, and I want to talk to you about just when you went on the air your first day. Did you have to Did you have to like do, not that you had to audition, but did you try like just to kind of get the wheels turning again, being on the air, running the board? Do you run your own board, I see, right?
Yeah. You know what's wild is I never knew how to run the board.
I mean, that's right. Because
I was always the counterpart, you know, and any morning show that I'd ever been a part of, there was always a man leading.
Yeah.
And so no one ever taught me how.
Holy
and
shit.
So shout out to Frankie Ross. So for some people that already listened to The Wave, I before this even was announced, I was doing the night shift. I did it twice.
Wait. Hold on. Let's deep dive into that. Okay, so you were doing the night shift at The Wave?
I wasn't doing the night. I sat in twice.
You were running the board.
No.
I
was on air.
Oh, okay. I thought your friend was teaching you how to run the board.
No.
I see.
So I literally got dropped into the deep end, and it was like,
crazy.
You're gonna come in. Frankie's gonna teach you how to run. I mean, and again, the board has so-called changed since we knew it. It's not as complicated anymore. But
it's very computerized.
But yes, I had to learn how to run the board. I had to learn how to run the system, and at the same time, completely go back into a space that I hadn't been in a really long time.
Right.
Luckily, again, this is why we always say like preparation and opportunity, when those come together, that's the best way to succeed, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful because these past few years, I had been working for TuneIn, which is an audio.
TuneIn, yeah. I know TuneIn.
So I was still stretching that muscle. I was still using, so I wasn't as overwhelmed, but I definitely, my first on-air shift, like if you ask me, I just sound so stiff. It was not good. I mean, it's not that it was horrible. It was just not where I am now.
Right. Now, let me ask you, what shift did you do?
I did 6 p.m. to midnight.
Wow. And did people recognize you said this is Liz Hernandez?
I had a few people send me DMs. I had a few people like text me, but it wasn't. Again, I think people were just like, wait a minute, is that like Liz?
Right.
Like, I think there was still some kind of confusion. But again, I only did 2 nights. So unless you were really listening, it wasn't like you knew I was on there.
Wow, that is wild.
I'm actually really glad it stayed under wraps, because I think the excitement of the day it actually was announced was just so beautiful. And just seeing the reception and the warmth and the love, it blew my mind.
It blew my mind too, in a very good way, because I knew you were fully capable of that. You know what I mean? It's not like I was like, what the fuck is she doing on there? I was just like, oh shit, she's got her show. And then it made me, I'm going to tune in. I've listened a few times. Now, granted, I haven't listened like continuously from the beginning to the end, but I'll tune in when I can. And what I've heard is it's fucking, the energy, the flow is just, it's almost like you were never off the radio.
Wow,
you know what I mean? It's like you just went from 10 years and like you never missed a beat. I mean, it's really astonishing, and it's quite unprecedented. Like, again, in Los Angeles, it's kind of unheard of to be able to do that.
It's so wild. Well, it goes back to, they say 10,000 hours equals you become the master of a craft,
Yeah, you did 10 million hours.
And I think about that. I'm like, wow, if you add up all the years of radio that I did, including when I was in college. Yeah, it is kind of like riding a bike. Like, you've mastered that craft where you can go back in, thank God, and you still have that skill set. But I just feel really proud of being a woman leading a morning show in LA, being a Latina woman leading a morning show in LA. Like, just that idea, like I hadn't really thought about it until, like, again, you saw the reception coming back. And I was like, my God, I have my own morning show. This is so great.
I know. Isn't that cool though? Like, do you feel like your mom with you in these kind of moments, right?
Absolutely.
I remember feeling that.
But this is her whole hand is in this.
Yeah,
her whole hand is in this.
It's true. It's even what Seinfeld says when he talks, Jerry Seinfeld, when he speaks about, he's like, somebody's helping me. I'm not doing this all on my own. I don't know what it is.
No.
He thinks it's his father, but you know what I mean? Like that, I agree. I feel like my mom has guided me to being able to become sober and to get me to iHeart, you know what I mean? Where I work now with Big and for commercial production, but all of these things wouldn't have been able to happen. I think she definitely had her hand in it, and your mom had her hand in guiding you here, right?
1,000%.
Isn't that crazy?
Energy doesn't die.
Right. It just transforms.
Exactly. And so I know that's her love just continuing to guide me, to continue to just remind me that it's going to be okay. The fact that those words came from Veronica, like Vero was with me the night, she stayed the night here at my house so that I wouldn't have to go to my, oh my God, it's gonna make me cry. Go to my mom's funeral by myself. Like that I had someone in the house, you know, it's like, those are things I'll never support. And so like the fact that she was the one who also put that in my ear, I just felt like my mom's like, you're going to be the messenger.
Right. I mean, she's going to be the vessel on how to like communicate. Yeah. That is so, that's profound, Liz. It's very profound. And you know what? You're, if you cry, that's totally fine.
Oh,
There's
I cry all the time.
I love it when you cry though, because you look pretty when you cry. That's the thing. I'm an ugly crier. You know, there's ugly criers. You're not an ugly crier.
Well, thank you. That's good to know. Well, they say crying is good. It lets out the boohoos.
Yeah. But I look crazy when I cry. I already look nuts as it is. I like to when I cry. I hate to look at myself when I cry, but sometimes you have to go wash your face. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? After you cry, you get it all out, and you look at yourself, and I always feel like. Not ashamed, but I'm so glad I'm just at home behind closed doors because I've cried in your arms. I've cried to Big. I'm a crier too, but it's not because I'm a man. I don't give a shit about that. It's just I just don't like to cry in public anymore or to anybody. I feel like so like I've defeated myself. Do you ever feel like that?
No, crying is so vulnerable that it's actually really strong to show people your emotions because we all have them. And so when you're able to I don't know. I think one of the strongest things you can do is cry in front of someone.
Well, I'll come to you only, but I don't want to bother you because you have a show to do and stuff. Now, let's get back to the show. I wanted to ask you. Now, I've listened to the show, like I said, but for those that may have not heard the show or they don't live in LA, there's some people that listen to this podcast in other countries. There's only like one or two, but still.
DJ Cos.
Yeah, exactly. Hi. Hi.
I love Cos.
Yeah, we just did a new phone tap with him over here for Halloween. It was really funny.
Oh my God. Can I just tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
His phone tap with Big is...
TT Tanaka?
Yes, it is my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time.
So funny.
I'm not kidding you. When I say that is my favorite phone tap of all time, it absolutely is. When he's what is he? The student, the international student.
He's like an exchange student.
Exchange student.
Yeah, he's an exchange
student.
student.
When Kaz is the exchange student, and he has his list of demands, and he's telling the person what he wants to eat for lunch. I mean, that is just the best phone tap of all time.
I've never heard a vote for the best phone tap of all time of TT tonight. Now, granted, he is in the top of the categories of phone taps, especially when it's a combo of Big and someone else. Usually, you know, when it'll be Jason who plays like the intimidating white guy, or you know what I mean. But when Kaz gets,
I think it's just so endearing because having him playing the foreign exchange student and just the way he jumped into character and was like,
and it's weird because he's not really playing a character; he's just repeating what Big is.
Big's having him ordered fried chicken, and oh my God, it is just. I think I just love them
black
both.
People.
I think I just love them both so much that it literally just I don't know. It just makes me laugh. I've watched it on YouTube so many times, like the audio, because I just love it so much.
I'm gonna have to play a clip of that.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
Yeah, this is the lady that's gonna let you live at her house.
No.
Tell her what you want to eat.
I like hamburger.
He likes hamburger.
I don't have no room.
I like fried chicken.
Mr.
I like pancakes.
I'm not planning on meeting you.
I love black people.
I do too, mister.
And I remember when I first met Kaz, when Big told me about Kaz, he was in Japan, and he I think he was it text around then, or he called me, and he goes, Sketch, I met your Japanese twin over here in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And this is when I still had long hair. You know, now I'm bald.
I remember that. I actually remember that.
And then he came to LA, and I stood longer, and we stood next to each other, and it was like, you know, I'm Mexican Kaz. Yeah, I'm Mexican Kaz. That's Japanese Sketch right there.
That's
it was
amazing.
pretty good. Yeah, I love Kaz.
How are you?
In regards to your morning show, talk about the first time you went on air in the morning and you felt like you woke up. Walk me through that day when you woke up for your first day to do your show live. What's going through your mind? Mm-hmm. I mean, do you have the jitters? Do you drink any coffee? What do you do? I mean, literally detail. You wake up, you drive to the station. Where is the station, by the way?
Mid-Wilshire area. Yeah, I just got there, had my coffee, and it's so funny because, you know, I had so much adrenaline going through my body that I did the entire show standing up.
And it has a stand-up board, right?
It has a stand-up board, but there's,
Right.
you can sit down.
You could sit down
But
on those high chairs, right?
But for the first week, I did not sit.
Really?
No, I stood.
Were you nervous? Do you have any on-air fumbles? Like, did you feel like you messed anything up?
I didn't feel like I messed anything up. I just felt so much adrenaline, and I had put such a pressure on myself to want to do a good job. I felt like I owed it to LA to show up and be my best, because they were there to support me. And I felt great about it. It's just been such a beautiful experience, and the feedback has been beautiful. And you know what the craziest part of all of this has been? Well, there's a lot of crazy parts, but one of the craziest parts is hearing so many people that I grew up admiring, like sending over notes saying, "Wow, you did a great job," or "This was the perfect hire for the Wave." Other radio personalities. I remember Ellen K had sent me a DM, and I'm just thinking she was the god in my eyes when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I remember her coming to Riverside, her and Rick Dees, and she stepped out of that trailer, and I just looked at her like, wow, that's
she
Ellen.
floated out of the trailer.
Yes. And I was like, that's Ellen K. I listened to her every morning, and it just felt so wild that here she is now telling me congratulations. It's just,
I know. Isn't that surreal?
Crazy moment.
It's so, it's almost like the student has become the teacher type of thing. It's a feeling like that. Even though she's still on radio, Ellen K.
Yeah, no, I know. And I remember going to the Orange County Fair, the LA County Fair, and taking a picture with her cardboard cutout. That's how much
Ellen K's cutout?
Yes, that's how much I was a fan.
The Ellen K County Fair. That's what it almost sounds like. You know what I mean? But Ellen K, actually, speaking of Ellen K, and speaking of you, which is another weird coinky-dink that I just recently got introduced to her producer, Darlene Rodrigo, at Coast 103.5 for the Ellen K Morning Show. Cut to the chase. Darlene asked me, hey, can you do an intro for Friday Morning Lights?
Ellen K's Friday Morning Lights!
Well, this is a very special moment. Coach Medrano, welcome to the very first of the year Friday Morning Lights.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I also did I'm going to just say it. I was able to help you do an intro for your what's it called? Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I remember this. What it is, Liz, right?
No, it's what's the biz, Liz.
I keep saying what it is. God damn it. What's the biz, Liz?
It's very similar to And It Is, Liz.
Yes.
It carries the same energy. What's the biz, Liz? Yep.
How did that turn out? Tell me about it.
I'm actually still waiting to hear back from they loved it.
Yeah.
They had someone dub it over. I do want to include this because
why not? We can. I can.
I just don't want to get you in trouble.
That's all right. Nobody cares.
Yeah, no, but hopefully we'll have it up and running soon. So I literally just sent an email off last night saying like, where are we with this? So
which version did you like?
Well, I think they took the seagulls out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember we were going on about the seagulls. We were like, listen,
Not
seagulls.
That we don't love a good seagull, but the essence of you is definitely in it. So you are a part of my morning show sketch.
Yeah. Well, you're part of my family, Liz, whether you're at another radio station or not. I mean, that's just how it is. We are family for life.
Absolutely.
And homies for life.
What's the biz, Liz?
I do appreciate you being on the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast. I could talk to you literally, Liz, for like another 20 hours about radio, about life, about Wordaful, about your career. But I have to, unfortunately, let you go and start my regular part-time shift at iHeart. And I know you have things. So you have to go walk your baby and do a little run and get your day in. What do you plan on doing for the rest of the day?
The first part of my day is dedicated to the Wave. The second part of my day is dedicated to Wordaful. So right now,
speaking of that, you work from 6 a.m. till noon on the Wave. That's 6 hours.
6 hours. 6 hours.
That's a 6 hour. I mean, how is that for you? Like having to get through that? What's that like?
I'm still acclimating, but
great word.
The thing is it's really true what they say when you love what you do. Like I love radio. Radio was my first love and continues to be that. So it just feels like I got back together with the person I was supposed to be with. And Wordaful is my baby now. So it's like I'm raising a little family over here. I got the love of my life and I've got the baby we're raising. So
And speaking of baby, so Wordaful is your baby. How old is Wordaful now?
Wordaful. Well, the thing with Wordaful is we launched the first video, I want to say 2015. Right. And I took a hiatus when my mom got sick because it was really hard I was still working at Access Hollywood full time. I was a caregiver for my mother. So Wordaful had to take a back seat for a while. And then I fully relaunched it as a business, like filed for my LLC.
Yeah.
August 17th of 2000. Wow. No, sorry, August 31st, 2017.
That is so dope. And I know the LLC thing. I had an LLC for Sketch-O-Matic, the intro man, but I just recently dissolved it just because I'm not doing as many intros for DJs anymore. But with you, paying for that LLC is not cheap.
No.
You know what I mean? It's definitely very expensive. And now that you have the show, Liz, like on 94.7 The Wave, where is the status of Wordaful now? Like, obviously you have to dedicate not just 6 hours being on air. You also have to do show prep and commercials and what have you. So you're dedicating a lot of time to 94.7 The Wave, which is your all new show, and is this the career path that we're going down? But where does Wordaful fall into place now with the show? Obviously, you don't have as much time for Wordaful. How difficult is it to juggle the two?
I'm still learning to balance it, and luckily that was one of the reasons why I said yes to The Wave, is because they knew how important and meaningful Wordaful is in my life and in the community's life. And so it's really about merging the two, right? So every morning I read a Wordaful positive affirmation on air, and it's still keeping the community connected, but also inviting in a new community to understand the power of words. So Wordaful hasn't missed a beat. We're still, luckily I still have two amazing women that have my back and help me with the company. So yeah, we're just chugging along like we normally do.
You want to shout out your team at 94.7 The Wave that help you in the morning, that you're the Liz Hernandez morning staff?
That's the Wordaful team. There is no morning staff. It is me.
Oh, really? You don't have like a producer or anything?
No.
But that's Wordaful.
Shout out to me.
So 94.7 The Wave, when you go in the morning, it is just you and your baby. What's the dog's name again? I'm sorry.
Albondiga.
What does that mean in English?
Meatball.
What is that? Oh, okay.
Albondiga soup, meatball.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I don't really speak Spanish as I should.
He's a little meatball.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, so Wordaful is all you, but you also have a little bit of a team behind you for Wordaful, right? You have like a videographer and such like that?
Well, it's really about having two women. Three. There's so many people that help me, but who really are the backbone to Wordaful is two women that help me day in and day out. And then I have other friends that I contract and they help me as well. So yeah.
I see. Okay. I just was like, but in regards to the show, you're just doing it solo dolo.
I'm flying solo right now.
Wow.
We're actually looking for a producer because it is a lot of work. So
yeah, I would imagine you had like at least a producer behind you.
No, it is just me. Yeah.
Hey, you know what though? But that goes to show that you putting in all those man hours of being on the air in college with Big Boy, a host on the red carpets for all the different networks. Now it's like it goes to show you kind of don't really need one. It helps, but you don't need one, right?
It's not about needing one. It's about it's important to have support. Sketchy would be so proud of me. I even edit my own interviews.
Are you editing on Vox Pro?
I'm editing on Vox Pro.
Go ahead. And on Adobe Audition, right?
Oh, I got you. Whatever you need.
That is so. I'm proud of you, Liz.
I wear all the hats.
Go ahead. Well, that's because you're a Latina. That's what we do. You know what I mean? Latinos, we're everything. We're like Jamaicans. Liz, I have to thank you so much, but just in closing, to sum up, I think a closing good question would be, can you give us a Wordaful word of the day out? Is that possible?
Absolutely. The word is gratitude. The more I focus on what I have, the more I have to be grateful for.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Attitude of gratitude is what has gotten me through my life.
Attitude of gratitude. I like that. That's a good hashtag. I'd probably have to hashtag that. I'm going to probably put that on this podcast for sure, in regards to the description of it once it goes up. But Liz, again, I have to thank you so much, and I'm show my gratitude to you for taking this hour to just spend some time with your boy Sketch-O-Matic on my podcast. It really means the world to me that you did this, and to a lot of people that are hearing this, to all 10 or 15 people listening. We appreciate you listening.
You just need one person to impact. That's what I say.
Technically, Liz, there is more, but I like to play it modest. You know what I mean? Yeah. But,
well, I just appreciate you inviting me on. I'm so proud of you. And
thank you.
It's always, any way I can ever support you, I'm here.
Likewise, Liz. That's why I made you your intro. I had your back. I'm going to be honest, Liz. I had a feeling you were going to hit me up for that or for something. I had a feeling. Not that I was like, she needs my help, but
but I'm the best in the game, and she's gonna come get that gold from me.
just a little bit. But I was like, no. I offered to say, I was like, if you need any help. But then when you were like, hey, and you explained what was going on, I was like, no, I got this. You know what I mean? Like I knew I was gonna have to at least participate somewhat in some degree to just give you a nudge in the right direction of what it needs production wise.
I think that's beautiful. If we got over all the politics, I know this is a big competition game for so many people, but if we just shared our resources, I mean, really this is about serving the public.
Yeah.
And so if you can help a neighbor, even a competing station with something, I just think there's just something beautiful about that. And that's my opinion.
That's what Jimmy Fallon and all the Jimmys and Colbert, they're all friends. They're all BFFs. It's like, remember back in the day, it used to be war with radio and television. Now
that's why I thought it was so beautiful when Big called in on the show, because it just, he was so funny about it, but he's just said, we're family first.
Hello.
Exactly. That's exactly why I'm going to use what he said, and I'm going to say that's why I helped you with that intro. And I'll always help you. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Sketch.
Liz, I love you, and congratulations on all of your success and all the different accomplishments that you've achieved.
Thank you.
And you're still living your adventure, and I hope to God we can see each other again one day in person, because this is recorded over Zoom, because you're busy. I have to start my shift, but I hope to hang out with you again one day soon and meet Meatball in person.
Yes.
Congratulations, and till the next time, be well.
Love you, Christian.
Love you, Liz.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay.
Okay, bye.